General advice warning. The content presented in this presentation is intended for informational purposes only and provides general advice only. It does not take into account your personal objectives, financial situation, or specific needs. This information should not be the sole resource when making investment decisions. We strongly recommend you seek the advice of a financial professional.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Bulls vs Bears Global Alpha Edition. I'm your host Finn Judell and I'm with my co-host Richard Nader. How you going, Richard? How's your weekend? How's your holidays?
I'm well, just sort of adjusting back from the holiday period.
Yep.
Tried to keep an eye on markets and everything going on in the world, but definitely enjoyed the break and looking forward to getting back into the office and the swing of things.
Yeah, that's right. Same here.
Fair bit of news going on as well to come back to. It's not a quiet period, I don't think.
No, I mean it's definitely not quiet. Overall, we're going to do a bit of a review of global equities during the holiday period, and then the elephant in the room, obviously, Trump's Venezuela gambit. Pretty recently on the 3rd, Trump, we'll get into it, won't we?
Absolutely, but I'm sure people saw the tidbits on Facebook and the news and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And we even spoke about it, I think, 2 podcasts ago, when not many people were really speaking about it, saying that this could escalate, and it looks like it is.
I am still surprised though that we've gotten this far.
Yeah, it's true. And then just we're also going to look at emerging themes in 2026. But let's get into it. So look, we had a bit of a low volume Santa rally, as we call it, coming into Christmas. And then as we kind of got into that Christmas period, it got a bit stagnant. And obviously silver and gold just continued to boom. It was pretty wild. And then as of this year and a little bit of towards the end of last year, we had a bit of a pullback, which is fueled by some geopolitical tensions, which we'll get into, and then also Fed speculation. Obviously, we've got some economic data coming in on the 9th. So we've got jobs numbers, housing starts, and sentiment data as well. So it will be interesting to see how that turns out. But I think we've just got a bit of hedging, which is causing a bit of volatility coming into the start of the year. But look, let's get into it. So this is what everyone's kind of talking about at the moment. And obviously, it's a massive event. On the 3rd, US forces airstriked Caracas and captured Venezuela's leader, Maduro, and his wife. So Maduro being flown to New York for drug trafficking and narco-terrorism charges. But we all know the real reason he's interested in this is because of the oil and various materials in the area, in the country. And Trump has also announced temporary control of Venezuela, focusing on oil revival. So it's pretty interesting development there.
Very interesting. I was actually speaking to a few Venezuelans that are living in Australia, and they're actually quite happy that this has happened, which I found quite surprising. Where they're thinking, they've had quite a bad sentiment towards Maduro over this time, so they were pretty happy that he'd been taken out. And look, they weren't too fussed who was coming in to replace him as long as it wasn't him. So that was a pretty interesting just conversation to have with people. Not sure if you saw as well, when he was arrested, Maduro was wearing a Nike Tech Fleece outfit. And I'm not sure if you've seen, there's been a lot of run on Nike stock at the moment, just because everyone's seen while he's arrested him wearing that one-piece Nike outfit. So just an interesting thing for people that are holding Nike. You might have seen a bit of a bump off the back of the arrest, and that's seems to be why.
Yeah, no, I didn't really clock that. I did see he was wearing a fairly casual jumpsuit. Didn't clock that it was Nike, and didn't quickly look to have a look at the share price. I was a bit more busy looking for other opportunities in the market, in the oil space. But that's a bit of a funny one. But yeah, look, on that topic, obviously Venezuela is a very corrupt government. So as a result, I can see why Venezuelans are rejoicing, or perhaps maybe a little bit more optimistic towards the future of Venezuela. historically the US, in terms of getting resources from countries, they haven't really focused on the well-being of the citizens, but we are seeing some talk around, revitalizing Venezuela from Trump. So we'll see how it unfolds. I do anticipate the focus being on recovering resources or extracting resources, but the effect of that could benefit the Venezuelan economy. So we'll see how that unfolds. I really think nobody knows at this point, but there is a hint of what do you call it? Optimism.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially with a resource-rich nation like Venezuela, there's plenty of funds to go around from those resources. It's just what will Trump administration do with sort of the restructuring and things like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I think people are naturally quite optimistic when someone they don't like is being taken out, but the fallout's sort of yet to come, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I like to stay on the side of optimism. I think that it could be a good thing, but we'll see how it unfolds. Look, we're looking at a few businesses that are pretty primed to benefit from this situation in Venezuela. Obviously, kind of the most obvious plays are the oil producers, particularly US oil producers. So Chevron, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips are some obvious ones. Oil services. So these are the kind of pick and shovel plays. So Halliburton, they provide services in drilling, and Schlumberger, again, just the kind of services sector, and Weatherford International. And this is where I'm quite interested is the US oil refiners. So the type of oil that is in Venezuela is actually a heavy crude oil. Now, I'm not a professional oil analyst, so I may butcher this here, but there are only a few kind of refineries in the US that can service this kind of heavier oil, as we are used to refining lighter oil in the US.
Yeah.
So a few businesses that do kind of specialize and can refine heavier oils are Marathon Petroleum, MPC, funnily enough, and Valero Energy and Phillips 66. So these are a few businesses we're looking at in the refining sector that may benefit from the Venezuela situation. And a bit more broadly, just kind of closing out on the Venezuela outlook, is we're looking forward in 2026, and we have a few kind of interesting themes that we think will be strong investment narratives going forward. So we are looking at quantum computing. We're looking at the kind of pick and shovel players that come out of data center expansion. So all the kind of infrastructure that comes along with that. So think copper producers, water for cooling. And we're also looking at defense and cybersecurity. So
that sort of plays into the Venezuelan events as well at the moment.
Absolutely. And I think overall, we unfortunately do anticipate more kind of conflicts to arise as there's kind of these kind of geopolitical tensions tend to be heating up around the globe.
Especially with spending commitments as they are. Like, I don't think people are going to, backtrack on those commitments they've made in the last 2 or 3 years, particularly in the European space. So,
absolutely, yes.
No matter where you look at it, it's going to be from what's happened previously. We've got spending to keep increasing, and then any events that can happen moving forward, it's just going to keep feeding into that defense theme. So I'm definitely with you on that one.
Absolutely. And cybersecurity also kind of comes out of that. Is, when we think of defense, we often think of, guns, ammunition, but what's kind of overlooked often is cybersecurity and cyber defense. So that's
very
a real
relevant
threat
in this day and age as well.
Absolutely. With AI, it is an increasing threat.
Wars aren't just fought physically anymore. There's a lot of subversion stuff that goes on in the background.
Absolutely. And then outside of that, we're also looking at critical minerals as a key theme. So if you want to have a proper look at that, I do recommend you read through the 2026 market outlook. There will be a link in the description of the YouTube video and in the Spotify description if you're listening through. So please have a read. You won't regret it. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting insights in the PDF, so definitely give it a read. All right, well, that wraps up this week's episode of Global Alpha. Enjoy your week. Take it slow. It's a bit of adjustment getting back into things. That's right. But as always, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about the market. I'm happy to have a chat.
Definitely download Mosaic if you want to be in touch with any of our latest recommendations and ideas.
That's right. Absolutely right. All right. Thanks, everyone, and have a good week.
Ready to upgrade your investing? Discover Mosaic by MPC Markets for market news, investor education, top stock picks, podcasts, and real-time broker chat. Everything you need, all in one simple app. Sign up now for your 1-month free trial and experience investment content you can understand and actually use